covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Heilman and Jim Mernier.
Welcoming one and all into the latest edition of Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Heilman here alongside of my buddy, pal, and co-host Jim Mernier. We have another news piece podcast that we're doing. We did it, we're trying to do more of these breaking news emergency pods, similar to the Jason Gibson one with that announcement. But we have another one that affects league-wide news, and you might have already seen it on a few sources. It's been rumored for a bit. Actually got spoiled earlier on, thanks to the commissioner before the official announcement. But Jim, we can finally say this. We even made a recording when we thought we could say it, and now we can say it officially. The rebound nets are fully back in arena football.
Yes,
Think about
rebound nets are back in the National Arena League. Arena football is back. Back to its traditional ways, how it's supposed to be played in arenas, rule sets, and the glory that is arena football. This is what me and about 1,000, I would say millions, but the arena game wished they had millions, but thousands of diehard arena football fans have wanted. It's the Nets to come back. And we've had conversations with league officials for months. They were in the works for months. We were close to having them a couple months earlier than expected, and it came out today. It's big. It's big news. It speeds up the game. This makes the game that we love enjoyable. And one of the things I do love about having the Nets back is that the NAL is sticking with their rule of the deuce. So deuces are still going to happen. So we still have our little tweak in the game itself. So, it's pretty cool. Awesome. Now it's finally out. So hopefully the chat rooms and the chat boards all out there can finally realize, no more. We need this back, because remember we need Nets back. Oh, the Iron Man. Oh, we would love the Iron Man, but we want the Nets first. Well, they went in reverse order. You got the Nets. You got the Iron Man rules, and you got the Nets back-to-back years. So 2023 is setting up to be an epic year, especially with the additions of Fayetteville and West Texas. So the question is these arenas are going to look very unique with these new nets. From what I've heard is that it's not going to be like the old AFL nets. The nets will be a little bit different, but they'll still be built for arena football. So get excited, people, because this is what we've wanted for years, and we're finally getting it.
Absolutely. And here was something that had been holding it back. And you talk about the variation of not the same. It's not the similar exact build as the AFL ones, because the logistics of these things, it does add on additional costs to teams. Yeah. So they are taking a bit more hit, but the idea is you are paying more, but you're getting a more entertaining product in return out of that. Which, by association, then you can have more people come in. We get more exposure, more highlight type of material too.
Yeah.
That's the plan with all this.
Well, it's also people say, well, how much does it cost to build a net? Well, the old AFL nets were reaching about $100K. That's because they're massive. Yeah. And when you have superstar owners and big name, household names owning teams, they can afford these nets and put them up every single week. The nets that I know that they're going to get, or they're planning on getting, will be financially sound for this league. So you got to remember, the team has to pay the arena, I can't say maintenance staff. You can say maintenance staff. The arena crews, because they got to break down an event either that happened the day before, a couple of days before, then lift these things up.
Right.
You don't understand how much. Yeah, you don't know how much work it is to, change from a hockey arena to an indoor football arena in 24 hours. I've actually seen it live. It's pretty unique, and those individuals don't get enough credit. Now you got the nets. Now you got to have to ring them up on each end zone. That costs money. So the fans out there are complaining that, we needed nets 2-3 years ago. There's a reason why it's taking so long. They're finding a way that can be financially stable for the league to do. And these arenas, not all these arenas are MVP Arena or Amway or ViStar Arena. we're going to some small buildings, or smaller arenas this year. You got the Crown Complex in Fayetteville, and you have the Columbus Civic Center in Columbus, which is they're not massive as what Jacksonville, Albany, Orlando's arenas are. And of course, Greensboro's arena, that's had arena football, and that's before. So it's not a shock for them. But there are other arenas, like, again, in Texas, this Odessa's arena and the Freeman Coliseum you got to figure out how the nets will work in these arenas. It's just not like just put nets here. It's going to be a unique battle. If it was back like 10 years ago when AFL happened, the arenas were already built to sustain something like this, because you look at where the Tampa Bay Storm played, or the Jacksonville Sharks, or the Grand Rapids Rampage, or the Indiana Fury. All the teams played in major NBA style arenas that were big enough to host these massive nets. Now you got to look at, well, there's only selected few teams that have big arenas that can, it won't be an issue, but you had other arenas that you got to be like, yeah, the AFL nets won't work here because either the arena, design's a little bit different. So they were trying to find it financially stable for the league to have the nets for 2023. So they got to agreement. They got it. They found a way. We're getting them. So that's a step. So the reason why it's taking so long is because of that. You can't put AFL arenas inside the Columbus Civic Center because it's not big enough for the Columbus Civic Center is not that big, especially on one end zone. And besides, rebound nets in the Columbus Civic Center, AFL nets with the Jumbotron in the middle, not so fun. But they finally got it, and I'm really excited. Like, we've bit our tongue about this for what, a couple months now?
It's been more than a couple. I mean, we were told about this back in March. So
yeah.
It's been over half a year.
It's so hard. It's so hard when we see fans like, well, we need nets back. Hey, in Walls Pod, you got information? Yes. No.
Question mark.
We're sorry. The number you're trying to reach is no longer in service.
I gotta disconnect out of this conversation.
Yeah. But also, one thing I love about with the Nets coming back now is you're going to get awesome rebound plays. You're going to have more kick returns. So you're going to have guys like Khalil Rashad, Naquan Murray, Darius Prince, Darian Townsend, DJ Meyer, or not. I'm not sorry. Sorry, DJ. Did he return kicks this year? I don't know. Maybe it was more Kendrick Ings than DJ Myers. You're going to get the most explosive receivers who are big, who return kicks. They're going to have 11. They're going to have about 6 or 7. Gibson said this in our interview, which you're going to hear later today. Gibson even said it was with the nets. Without nets, your receiver can possibly get 6 touches because he gets a couple of kicks to him, or some of them are out of bounds, and he may get 4 or 5, maybe 6 more touches for a total of 12. Now with the nets, that increases up to 14 to 16 to 18 because he could be returning kicks. He can also be the number one target on the offensive side of the ball. So it gives more time for these explosive players and these athletes to show their skill in the game and eventually, be changing. Because I've seen games that these nets, Hail Marys off the nets, ricochets off the nets. Yep. I've seen people kick field goals and it ends up getting stuck in between the poles. So you're like, well, is it no good or good? Because technically it's inside the pole. Rewatch the 2013 AFL playoff game, Jacksonville Sharks versus the Orlando Predators. That did happen, and they ruled it as a good field goal because it went into the goalpost, so it's good, which was weird. But yeah, nets are back, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
It's unique, especially for you. You were introduced to the arena game with nets, and me and you got fun with the NAL rules. Now we're getting NAL rules with the nets. So,
well, I get arena football. What I was considering peak arena football in for my one stint. So that alone, I get the package that I haven't seen Iron Man until this year, so that was nice. So I get the full deal. We're jumping back to 1987, like everything's here type of arena football at this point. And I want to read this snippet from the press release from the NAL, because you'll get kind of the encapsulation of what these are if you aren't getting the gist of us just talking, but also how it impacts the game, even for like specifically kick returns. Its main thing is it helps with kick returns in the field of play. There are the
Correct.
fancy, Hail Mary style catches. There's highlight reels of those. You can also look up, interceptions can happen off the nets too, so that's crazy, but kick returns are its main function. So here's the snippet I want to talk about. Quote, the NAL end zone rebound nets will be 30 feet wide by 32 feet tall, hanging in both end zones. The bottom of the nets are 8 feet off the turf. So, it's a little higher up than just a 6 foot tall person. I mean, they're right there. If you're in the end zone seats, and this is what I remember from Columbus, you can touch them. Like they're right above the back wall is what they try and do with them. To continue here, the field goal posts will continue to be the same dimensions as the ones in the NAL currently. So 9 feet wide by 15 feet tall. So just imagine what you saw, say, in Albany and the championship, and you're smacking 2 boxes on the opposite sides of that post. That's what you're doing. That's what it's adding. It's basically saying, you know what? Either you're kicking a deuce or it's going to come back and you better return that thing and be ready to go. So you better have a good return team. Some statistics that really, I think, show how important these things are and how they enhance the game. And this is brought from the AFL. So during the last season of nets that were used for play, which would be the 2019 AFL season, fans witnessed over 14 kick returns that were returned for touchdowns during the regular season. That number dwarfed indoor leagues who did not use nets. Those leagues saw less than 6 TDs for returns per season during the use of nets. So, and then continuing the decision move forward with nets will add more return action, intensity, hard dropping moments to the sport, all resulting in more great reasons to cheer. So yeah, if you need more proof, look, more touchdowns means more scoring. More scoring means you're going to be on your seat more often, and more strategy comes into play. You can still be down, of course, multiple touchdowns and have a comeback, but you better have a good special teams type of unit that doesn't have to rely on kicking out of bounds, and I'm assuming we will see, we should see less of that. Honestly, I'll be really discouraged if we have kicks that are intentionally kicked out of bounds, because that's just wasting potential. And, I'm there. The NAL is looking at rules on how to enhance not only just what the nets are, but, how to incorporate what makes the NAL, not just, what some people have seen. And I've actually seen a person say, when's the AFL branded coming? Like, it's not.
No.
This is their game. They like their brand. They just want arena football. It still says arena in the name, guys. It's just their brand.
You want to talk about that a little bit about the AFL? That's been a lot of comments happening on all the boards and stuff, and we've been, especially on our Discord, and especially
I think people when they see the nets, they're like, well, it's got to be AFL. Like, it's got to have that logo. Like, look, guys, like, I love that brand. I do, but I don't know if or when it's coming back. I don't have time to wait around for that. Like, the National Arena League's the one I like. Okay. This is the brand I like. This is the brand. If you want arena football right now, enhance this one. This is the one that's basically the flagship at this time.
Yeah. And a lot of fans out there who say, oh, it's not AFL. Well, technically it is. 99.9% of the rules now in the NAL are arena football rules. And I'm not trying to attract fans for other leagues, but the reason why we're not doing the AFL branding is because a great comment I talked to one of our colleagues. He even said it's like the Undertaker coming back from retirement after he retired because he lost and then comes back and then loses again. Like, you had a great career, you had a great history, you had great whatever for 20 some odd years, and you came back and you had another 10-year stint, then bam, you get hit again. And I was like, that's a good analogy. But you're going to see a lot of rumblings around about, the name, it's the National Arena League. Also, the NAL owns a lot of the old AFL trademarks, a lot of them. So if there's a lot of teams that want to come back, well, we're going to be most likely going to the NAL with the traditional AFL team logos. And those are very easily accessed. Just go to the trademarks website in the United States government, and you'll see the names that the NAL holds. But that's one thing it's amazing about us fans. We complained for years to get the nets. We complained for years to Ironman football, and everything happens now. We're like, we need the AFL back. No. We don't need the AFL back because we have the game here in the NAL. We have eight for almost said six franchises. Sorry, we have 8 franchises here, 6 very solid franchises that we know. We got 2 new ones introducing. We got Fayetteville and West Texas coming in. The league's starting to grow. The league wants to grow, and bringing the Nets brings you the fans. We know that they're going to try and launch a schedule early, so you fans know what games are going where, so they can sell tickets early. So the NAL this is not the NAL from a couple years ago. They know what they need to do. The social media game is improving, as you can tell, and it's going to even get better. So for the fans out there, they know, they hear you.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight, but me and Zach can tell you right now, the AFL branding here in the NAL is never going to happen. It's just not. There's other leagues fighting over that trademark right now. So it's not happening in the NAL. So just enjoy the Nets. We got Ironman football. We got a glorious offseason to get ready. We're going to have a lot of great players signings, and we're going to have a schedule. So it's going to be entertaining. Let's just be happy that we got Nets. Let's just don't go poking Nets ball. Let's don't go attack something else that it's not really going to happen. We knew the Nets were eventually going to happen. We knew the Ironman's eventually going to happen. The AFL branding, it's never going to happen because that's a different situation, almost a legal situation that I don't think the NL even wants to touch. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the National Arena League. We have Nets. We have arena football. We are the premier arena football league in the United States of America as of today.
Exactly.
Or as of the last 5 years, technically.
It's officially all-encompassing in here. So welcome back, arena football in its entire glory in 2023. We can't wait to see what the 8 teams do and how play is enhanced this season with the Nets back. And honestly, folks, before we head off, if you really want to check out, how they enhance the game even farther, like say, I need more, there's plenty of material on YouTube. Just look up like top arena football plays or arena football league plays. There's several that use nets that are Hail Mary bounce passes, look up for returns. Or go to Arena Foot. There's actually a great channel called Arena Football TV that has a bunch of old games. Just watch one of those games. Yeah, just go watch. Go watch an old broadcast. You'll see. It definitely changes how the game is played for the better. It is a better edition. It is more costly, but owners know it is a better edition and makes the sport that much more appealing.
Correct.
Can't wait.
Let's just say games can change on a dime. You think you're down 21 and you have no chance with the Nets, you have a great chance to get back because now kickers won't be afraid to corner kick it. They'll just blast it no matter what. And the good kickers will hit all the deuces, and the bad kickers will just give those lethal athletes who receive them more chances to score touchdowns.
It's going to be fun. 2023 is going to be awesome. It's exciting times ahead. Well, Jim, I think that's about it for our news update. Folks.
Yeah, that was NAL breaking news. Woo-hoo, Nets are back.
Catch you for our next one. Like I said, we'll be doing more of these as we go forward as kind of our, it's emergency podcast. We'll call it that. If something comes up that's impactful to the league, we'll give you an update on it as we go through the off season. But stay tuned to Inside the Walls. Catch you with our next show. We got coaches interviews and ownership interviews coming up with the expansion teams ahead this off season. Also still trying to get our good, bad, and the ugly segment out there as we did last year. We'll do it again. Should be less items now. Funny enough, we'll have one of those switching over. But yeah, plenty of shows coming ahead for the off season leading into 2023. Stick with us at Inside the Walls. Catch you soon enough.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.